Hello and welcome to the Storyboard That webinar on science models. If you have any questions whatsoever, please go ahead and type in the group chat. Otherwise, I will carry on with what I have planned. If there is something that you want to stop and see closer up, please just let me know. All right, so here on the left, I'm looking at my teacher dashboard. Oh, by the way, I'm Anna. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Anna. I am one of the content creators here at Storyboard That. I used to be a teacher, and I have since left the classroom, but now I am working here at Storyboard That, making great content and making a lot of wonderful images. All right, back to it. If you ever want to sign up for a free demo, the information is right over here. You can schedule a one-on-one meeting with one of us. And I want to go into the Storyboard Creator options because some of the images that I'd like to show you today are actually under image packs. So in order to find these images, I need to select reproductive health. Okay. Oh, and let me get to my science webinar storyboard. On the left side, I'd like to show a slideshow. So you see everything nice and big. And on the right side, I'll be looking at the different items a little more closely. So on the right side, I have made a copy, and this, so you can see copy in the URL. And this is in the Storyboard Creator. Right. So we have a lot of great diagrams. We've been starting to do more and more. And as we progress, we will get a much larger library. And if you have any requests, please, please, please send them in so we can get them done for you. So here is an example of one of our diagrams that you can change the color. And you don't have to use any of these colors. You can always choose your own. That's always an option. And we also have some that have multiple options. So in this case, the red blood cell, you can show 1, 4, or many. Also, you can change the color here in case you wanted to show blood cells that need oxygen or blood cells that just had oxygen returned. So an example here, and let's go on to the next one so you can see them a little close up. We also have some diagrams that, I'm not sure what this is. Skip over to that. We also have some diagrams that you can take the parts out of. So here we just have the mitochondria, we have the cytoplasm, the cell membrane, or you could have the whole thing. You can also duplicate or copy, change the color if you want, and then you can do a part on top so you can layer. And these are the 4 items that we have under our reproductive health, the items that you would need to turn on in the Storyboard Creator options. Okay, so again, change the colors. There are no special options for this one, and that is the same for each of these 4. You'd be able to change the colors, but that is all. Next, I'm going to look at some of our space stuff. Our moon has several options to show the phases of the moon. Our Earth can show the inside of the Earth, the layers. We also have a simple version of the solar system which can show just the sun or any of the other rows in the solar system. Orbits, excuse me. And under science, under astronomy and space, we have examples of all the planets and some of the moons in our solar system, so students could put them on the diagram in order. We also have a smart option for placing the moon in different spots around the Earth. And I'll show you a great storyboard in a little bit. Next thing I want to show you is this smart atom. Oh, I'm sorry, smart atom is this one. And you can change the number of electrons that are in each shell. So, for example, I could have just the first 2 electrons, and I can have students identify what this is, or just have them play around with it and see how the atom would look with more and more electrons. There are 2 versions of the periodic table to show the different periods and to show different rows. I didn't do this. Whoops. All right. Here is a very, very cool item. It's a stick and ball, but it does a lot of great stuff. You can change the colors, obviously, and then there are many different options that you can use to create your own molecules. Show the different bonds, single bonds, double bonds. There's a variety of options that you can use to create your own atom molecule models. The next thing that I want to show you is some special scenes. So I'll start in the bottom left. Here I have an island scene. This was created specifically for energy resources. So you can show where to put the energy resources on an island. There's a hot spring, there's a waterfall, ocean, place for biomass. There's a lot of great things that you can do with some of these scenes. Another scene that was specifically made for science was actually just for this screw, the Archimedes screw. But of course, it can be used for anything else. Next, this is for the water cycle and the carbon cycle. I can make more space by taking out the trees and the mountains. And this is my favorite. So you first look at this and it seems just like a gaudy rainbow, but you can have the earth show up and the grass disappear. And after that, you can put different layers of the atmosphere, or whatever it is that you want to show, outside of the earth. Here we have just a few of the many items that you can put on top of our great scenes, or you can use to label, or you can use to model different science experiments, or whatever it is that you can come up with. There are many different arrows. You can find them under shapes, arrows, a number of them. These arrows are also smart, so if, springable. So if you do one of the gray handles, you can move it without changing the size, but the corner will of course make it bigger. And that is the same with some of our shapes. Our other arrows, and some of our lines. Now it's always a little tricky to get on top of there. I also have this great shape that was created for plates shifting around. the tectonic plates to show as a model what it would look like if you move them across and under. The next thing I want to show you is some people you might recognize. As I was waiting for the webinar to start, I remembered a few more that we had. So we've got Marie Curie, Nikola Tesla, Alan Turing, Albert Einstein, and then over here you can see Francesco Redi, Charles Darwin, and Sir Isaac Newton. Next, it's just a big blank square. So this is one of our newest objects that I only found today. So I'm very excited to show you. You can change the different patterns in different ways. So we've got lots of different ways to show fractions, but also to set up various charts. All right, next. Let me make this a little bigger. We can only get around to it. There we go. All right, so here I have an example of how you can use Storyboard That to create different models. This is modeling elements as well as compounds and mixtures. You can see that we have the elements, I think this is O2 with that little double bond, and then gold, they are all the same atom. And then with a compound, of course, they have different atoms bonded together. And then in a mixture, you'll have both compounds and atoms mixed together. Oh, I can't quite get to the right one. Here's an example of the animal cell. You can change the colors and repeat the cell in different, cells, and have students label and define. This is a great example of using just shapes and showing how things break down. So we have some labels here, and then the carbohydrates break down to glucose. Here's an example of the phases of the moon. This is something that students could create to show where the light is coming from and what the moon looks like from Earth. In this example, there is both northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, but you likely will just want to have the hemisphere that you are living in. I wanted to show you the water cycle. This is a great chance to use some of our teacher resources. Here is an example of a completed water cycle diagram. And I wanted to copy this assignment into my teacher account. First, I'm going to take a look at the template that's here. It just says create a diagram. So that doesn't really make me feel like I know what I'm doing, but it says here that some pre-made diagrams can be found in search or under the science category. There's also a simple rubric that you can copy and then adjust. So let me copy this assignment into my teacher account. All right, so now these are the instructions that came with the assignment. They're boring, they're very bland, they're very generic. We did this on purpose. That was to make sure that you can easily change things to how you want them to be. And I want to make sure that the right class gets assigned this assignment. Great, updated. And then I'm going to take a look at the template. You can tell it's a template because of that little paper and pencil. All right, so here is my large cell diagram. Well, great. I need to edit this template because my students can't just have this. So what I'm going to do is look for a scene for them to use. Get rid of that stuff. Let's do this one. And then I will save it from here. So now my students can start the assignment using this template. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay, can't quite. I have something at the top of my screen, so it's very hard to get that, the top area. There we go. All right, next. Here's an example of the rainbow scene being used to show the effects of, or show the cause of global warming. So we have the sunlight coming in, and then some getting trapped, some of it escaping, but it's these rings of the atmosphere that you saw in the rainbow scene. Another example of using Storyboard That to show various models, we have force diagrams. The arrows correspond with the colored labels, and we have both photographs and simple diagrams on the right. And similarly, this is another way to show the types of forces using photos for class, as well as shapes and arrows. I want to point out that we do have several teacher resources on our STEM page. Right now, we have the most science, but I'm hoping to increase our math to make sure that we are really filling out each of these sections. In addition, I wanted to show the illustrated guide to biographies because, let's see, Albert Einstein. We have some great examples of why these people are important and what it is that they did. So this would be a great way to integrate social studies with science. Similarly, we have illustrated guide to innovations. So for example, let's do the machine gun. This item or this invention changed how war was waged, which made a huge difference in the history of our world. And we also have an illustrated guide to astronomy. More terms are being created, but you can take a look and see, let's just do Earth. Here we have Earth and its place in the solar system. And go down to the sun. Here you can see it's at the center of the solar system. All right. I would like to thank you so much for joining me on this webinar. If you have any questions, I'm going to give you a moment to type them in so I can answer them. Okay, that's me. I'm Anna, and this is my Twitter handle, Anna M.Y. Warfield. Please let me know what you think of the webinar. This is my first one, guys, so I'm probably really boring. And then, of course, Storyboard That. You can always tag us on Twitter. We love seeing storyboards. We love seeing what people are doing.